Welcome on into the season finale for the Washington Commanders. No better way to close it out against the Dallas Cowboys. Of course, we were anticipating this game having so much on the line. And unfortunately for Washington, after losing last week, was officially eliminated from the postseason. But the Dallas Cowboys, they will play on. So Washington today has the opportunity to play the role of spoiler for the Dallas Cowboys, as there's an opportunity that they could potentially take the division. But it is a bittersweet day. While it is the final game of the regular season, it is a game and a day where we are honoring an absolute legend of the Washington team here. That is, we are retiring the number 9 jersey of Sonny Jurgensen. And Bram Weinstein joins me here now. Bram, what a career he had playing. And then, of course, so many years, 26 years total in the booth, calling the games as well. So the number 9 jersey will be worn no more, going up to the rafters, and you will see Sonny all over the stadium today. There's a whole bunch of merchandise. We're wearing our Sonny gear right now as it is. It's a bit chilly out, though, as well. A great ceremony is going to be taking place, about 50 family members in attendance as well.
Yeah. This is, for me, I can't think of anybody else really anywhere that has a legacy for multiple generations and somewhat in different ways. For my father and his generation, he's the greatest quarterback that's ever come through here that he got to see play. Obviously Sammy Baugh's the other Hall of Fame quarterback here, but he's the only one he ever got to see play and really kind of changed the trajectory of the organization. Between Sammy Baugh and Sonny Jurgensen, the team had a really terrible losing record for 15 years. They acquired him from Philadelphia, and by the time he had left in the early 1970s, they were an NFC power. They had attracted prime coaches like George Allen and Vince Lombardi. They played in a Super Bowl, and it kind of set the stage for the next 10 years. And then, fortunately, Joe Gibbs shows up, and now Sonny's in the booth. And for someone like me who grew up going to RFK, watching these glory days teams of the 80s, Sonny Jurgensen was, in my opinion, the most important voice that was in Washington that kind of covered the team with the gravitas of being a Hall of Fame player, but there was some kind of folksy, down-home, familiar way about him. And, I'm happy that, one of my predecessors and the legendary Frank Herzog is here, and you're going to see him. But Frank, Sonny, and Sam were the soundtrack of the 1980s. And for me, he's that. He was the voice of the Washington Redskins at the time. And I'm so glad that this day is long overdue for sure for Sonny.
Many people do share that sentiment, but we are having it today, and finally it is being righted, and Sonny will be here in attendance. So it'll be a ceremony taking place on the field at halftime. Sonny Jurgensen himself will be in a suite with his family for that. It also is a very difficult week for the NFL, as Monday Night Football, of course, we all unfortunately and very hard to witness the Bills' safety, Damar Hamlin, as he suffered cardiac arrest after a collision with Bengals wide receiver T. Higgins during the first quarter of Monday night's game. Hamlin has made a remarkable progress throughout a very tense week. The Commanders have painted the 3s at both 30s on the field with a blue trim as a tribute to Damar Hamlin for the number 3 he wears, and we will have a moment of support for Damar Hamlin just before the national anthem here at FedEx Field. And as we're also giving you live looks in, you're listening to us on Big 100, but we're also showing you live looks in on all of our social media platforms. We're showing you what that 3 looks like right now, and the team is wearing shirts that say we support, love for Damar with the number 3 on that as well. So you'll see the team warming up in these shirts. It's something that I think is just shows the solidarity of how no matter what team you root for, no matter what colors you wear, Bram, is that in moments like this, it goes well beyond football, and everybody comes together in support.
Yeah, we're all family here. We're all football fans, and that was frightening what happened last week. I've never seen anything like that. We've grown accustomed to seeing injuries, and some of them are very serious. And those are difficult times for us to sit there and describe and talk about. But you never think you're going to see what we saw on Monday night. It was awful. I think it's a credit to the medical personnel that they reacted and diagnosed and helped him as quickly as they did. Clearly,
saved his life.
They saved his life. The medical personnel, obviously, in the trauma center in Cincinnati, helped get him back to the place where he was, where he's communicating now, and he's talking to his teammates, and he's writing on Instagram, and he's FaceTiming with his team. And, listen, for all of us, we love the sport. There is a danger reality to it, and it can be frightening at times. I've never seen anything like that, especially on what was a routine play. I've never seen anything like that, and I'm so glad that this young man appears to be getting back to health, and we all can continue to kind of celebrate this great sport that we all love that really, I think for all of us, this is a tough day because I hate when the season ends. I hate when the season ends. because it goes away for a long time, and we miss it, desperately miss it.
It is a very long season, but it goes by in just a flash. So the Bills actually lead the Patriots right now 14-7 in the second quarter. Hamlin is watching from his hospital room in Cincinnati, and I love it. It kind of goes to show the heart of how much these guys do sacrifice as well. Is that when he finally did wake up, his first question that he wrote out is, did we win the game? And they're like, you won the game of life. Yeah. That right there goes to tell you about it. But the game does go on, and our game will go on today here as well. So there's plenty of storylines to get to as we are getting ready to take on our rivals, the Dallas Cowboys. So Washington comes in at 7-9-1. Having been eliminated from the playoffs after rattling off 6 wins in 7 games, the Commanders went 0-3-1 down the stretch. Yeah. What do you attest that mostly to, Bram?
I think a lot of things. I think this is going to be a very interesting offseason on and off the field, obviously. But on the field, I think there is a lot of soul-searching that needs to be done with decisions that were made in the offseason, for sure, specifically where they had some very vulnerable units, namely offensive line, linebacker, and cornerback, that reared up to hurt them as the season was coming along. We're going to have a big debate about quarterback moving forward, and I think there's a larger question of what can they do in the offseason as the uncertainty plays itself out over who's going to have authority to make some decisions moving forward. But obviously, that didn't play out the way that the coaches and the front office had intended, so I think we're back in that space again. Quarterback play mattered. I don't want to blame all of that on that, but the other units also became very vulnerable and were taken advantage of. And then lastly, I think there's some accountability for coaching as well. There are some moments here where there was some questionable decision-making in terms of game planning and all that stuff. I think it's everybody. And, I'm shocked, Julie, that we're sitting here and this game doesn't mean anything for them. If you told me that when we were going to New York for that first game against the Giants, I never would have believed you that this game would not have playoff ramifications for Washington. I thought for sure, at bare minimum, they'd be in a win-and-in situation. I'm still very surprised that that's where we're sitting today.
I feel like when you walk around the building out in Ashburn, we call it the park, that is the same sentiment as well. It's a very kind of somber feel because the expectations were fully that this team was going to be continuing on after this game. But unfortunately, the way that they have played here down the stretch, and you have to be playing your best ball in the month of December and January, has not gone that way. They've also lost their last 3 meetings against Dallas. The last time the Commanders lost 4 in a row against the Cowboys was 2016 and 17. That was also 4 straight losses. Now, Washington has averaged just 15.5 points per game over that 0-3-1 stretch, and it's caused a lot of concern for many folks. It is why head coach Ron Rivera went from Taylor Heineke back to Carson Wentz. Yeah. Carson Wentz, of course, we can relive that all we want, but it was not the performance anybody expected. I think even anybody in that building will tell you they were kind of surprised about how that game did play out and the lack of efficiency on offense for that one. So it is going to be Sam Howell today that is coming over. They need to be able to evaluate, as head coach Ron Rivera has always stood by the fact that the quarterback is one of the biggest differences in this league on a team. And we know he's the most important position, and this team still does not feel like they have that QB1 locked in for the future. They're going to get a good look at Sam Howell today. They
are, and I think, that's exciting today to see what he has. I want to be fair to him, they are playing a lot of young players around him, and Dallas does have something to play for. So they're going to be going out there with the idea that if they win, they could get lucky and end up getting maybe the 1 seed or at bare minimum the division, and therefore they have a lot to play for. So they're going to play their starters today. Sam Howell's going to have a lot of backups around him, including at running back, on the offensive line. There's a lot of different defensive players out there. But I like you. I want to see him play. He had an outstanding collegiate career. He broke records as a freshman. He broke school records over his 3 years. He became a versatile quarterback running the ball because the skill positions changed at North Carolina, and we saw flashes of it in the preseason where he had a lot of run and had a lot of moments. And I don't know exactly what that means in the regular season, but I'm excited to see him today. And then the wishful thinking and optimistic part of this is there have been a lot of very strange outcomes in this series between these two teams. Today feels like a layup for the Cowboys. Not so fast if you watch the history of these two teams playing one another.
That's why they have to carry out and actually play the game. You did mention he's going to have to play with a lot of players that typically would not be out there as much because Washington is down due to injury to quite a few. John Allen is not going to be out there because of a knee. Brian Robinson Jr. has a deep thigh contusion. He will not be playing today. Antonio Gibson had surgery on a fractured foot, so he's officially on IR. They did needed that now so he could be ready for off-season workouts. Benjamin St-Juste finishes the season on IR with an ankle injury that has bothered him since week 11. Offensive lineman Sadiq Charles, season ends on IR with a concussion. Jamin Davis, his season ends on IR with a hand-thumb injury. James Smith-Williams is out. Safety Cam Curl is out. Questionable is Andrew Norwell. So this team is going out there with a lot of testing of the depth of this roster as well. Now, the injury report is presented by Optima Health Plan, a health plan you can count on. And coming up next, from our current play-by-play voice to one of the franchise's most revered, Frank, Sonny, and Sam. Frank Herzog joins me next live here at FedEx Field. You're watching Command Center Game Day Live on the Washington Commanders YouTube and social media platforms, and you're listening to Washington Commanders football. Time now for your player profile, brought to you by Pepsi, official soft drink of the Washington Commanders.
That's what you work for, dog.
Hey, we here now.
You see that fucking combination,
I home trail ready.
Let's go now.
I'm going to sting it. You know it. You already know it.
I know. I'm saying to you, I know.
Hey, Payne. Mike Duck. Mike Duck. Hey, let's go. Hey, be a dog today. When you watch film, look at yourself, you a dog. Be a dog today.
Let's go. Play hard, play fast. And when I pull you,
Yep.
all right? For just to get your air, all right?
Gotcha.
Let's go.
Man, first day back in his house. Shoot it. Oh no.
Oh, hey, family on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Family. You saw the one where I sliced in, off me. Yeah, I'm on it. The whole crowd on third down hype. That's hard. And I'm mic'd up. Good evening. That's us right there. Yeah, that's us right there, I think. Hey, Jamin. I need you really your gap and going. Crashing out. That's what I need from you right here. Nope. You are first. You a first rounder. Let's go. We making plays. Let's go. We making plays, and I got you. Hey, Washington middle school, big dog.
I hate to have it to you. I know career, boy. That's my first game of my career.
Man, it's good to see you, though. Keep dogging it.
You straight?
Yeah, I'm straight, bro.
It's 4th down, seconds on the clock. He hands it off, finds a hole in the middle. Clear, nothing but Brian moves! Incredible! A touchdown for the win. I can't believe it!
Pizza, better with Pepsi.
You ever wonder why people are always on their phones? They're banking with Bank of America. Look at this guy. He bought those tickets on his credit card and he's racking up the rewards.
She's using Zelle to pay him back for the hot dogs he's about to buy.
That's going to bring it to
And
a
the
close here
announcer?
after 3.
He's not checking the stats. He's finding some investment ideas with Merrill.
And third, as you know, in baseball means 3.
Digital tools so impressive, you just can't stop banking. What would you like the power to do?
Determination makes dreams happen.
We make paths that weren't there before,
It doesn't matter how far we have to go.
or the obstacles we have to overcome.
And even when it seems like we can't go on, you're it.
We learn and we come back stronger than before.
The all-new CR-V Hybrid and CR-V, part of the Honda line of rugged vehicles.
Well, my baby doll gives me special love. It's the kind of stuff.
Honey, it's your turn.
I'm on cloud 9.
Pizza, better with Pepsi.
And we are presented by Victory Van Moving and Storage, delivering excellent services for 75 years and a proud partner of the Washington Commanders. I'm incredibly honored for this moment. We've been talking about this all season long. When we knew Sonny Jurgensen's number was going to be retired, I said, we have to get Frank Herzog in the booth with us. He was 1/3 of the legendary Washington broadcast team alongside Sam Huff and Sonny Jurgensen from 1979 to 2004. 23 seasons with Sonny. 26 seasons overall for Frank. His signature, you got to give it to me here. Touchdown, Washington Redskins. Go ahead, bring it on, Frank.
I don't do it.
You don't do it anymore? Okay.
I got to be doing a game.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, you have
rule.
all heard it. You have all heard it. You loved it. You were there for the Super Bowls as well. Frank Herzog
Plus, you gotta be
joins
in the mood.
me as
you
well.
got to be in the mood for it, you know?
Well, we need some touchdowns today, Frank.
That's right.
We certainly do.
Later. I'll do it later.
Okay, later. Look, Frank, so glad to have you here with us. You have called some absolutely outstanding games, championships, Super Bowls. Is it possible over your career with this team to have an absolute favorite game or moment?
No, I think there were several. Honestly, the Super Bowls were all cool. I think the NFC Championship game against Dallas, Dexter Manley sacking Danny White, touchdown in the end zone.
1982?
Yeah, and I think the Atlanta game where they throw the seat cushions out onto the field, that was wild. So there are a bunch of them.
Well, that's when, 50,000 people were chanting, "We want Dallas."
That's right.
And now the stadium shakes.
And Sonny kept saying, hold on, wait just a minute. Are you sure you want Dallas?
When I came here, I'm just now going into, I think, season 14 for me. About 13 years I've been here in this market, and that was lesson number one, is it's Dallas week, and when it comes to it, it is we want Dallas. That was the most important game and the team that you had to take down, because back in the day, if you did want to get to the Super Bowl, you had to go through Dallas.
And I think the creator of that mayhem was George Allen. I think he started it with his paranoia. Oh, my gosh, the guy was paranoid.
I was told they put on every single desk, beat Dallas, it's Dallas week, so that was what it had to be.
He had a guard that patrolled the fence at the old Redskin Park to watch for Dallas spies. And at one point, he just knew that in that office building over there on like the 4th floor, there was a window, and they were spying. He just knew it.
Way before Spygates ever came around, everybody wants the advantage, I suppose.
Hey,
so we get to close out the season with Dallas. And here's the sad thing, Frank, is this game should have so much on the line for Washington as well.
Well, I think so, and I think for the players, it's still a game. It's against Dallas. It's against a quality team. You want to show them you can play. I think it's a tremendous opportunity for this young quarterback.
It really is.
To come in and you know, if Sonny had an opportunity to stand with the kid and offer advice, you know what he'd tell him?
Tell me.
Just have fun.
Yeah.
Just have fun. So the guys, he's got good credentials from North Carolina, the way he played down there. So let's see what he can do.
I know when I got to call Frank and talk about today and all that we wanted to do, the first thing was, we've got an interesting game on our hands here, because we don't know what to expect from Sam Howell. Neither do the Dallas Cowboys. Of course, Dak Prescott, he is 9-1 against Washington, and we have not faced him this season. So it is going to be an interesting game as well. Now, look, the reason we also picked today to retire Sonny's jersey, and of course it's very long overdue, but, here we are today honoring the number 9, is because he did have that infamous game against the Cowboys to get it back. It seemed only fitting to retire his number against the Cowboys.
It's funny, Julie, you mentioned that. The first time I ever heard of Sonny Jurgensen, I was working for a little radio station in San Angelo, Texas, that carried Dallas Cowboys football. And one of the first games I was running the commercials for, Sonny Jurgensen and the Redskins went into the Cotton Bowl against Dallas. And the vivid memory of him standing out there on the field next to the referee watching the clock tick down, the final seconds. And when it got to 2, he called timeout. But at one point he said, he turned to the ref and said, that clock is right? And the ref said, I think so. And he said, well, if it isn't, we're both going to look like fools. But he called timeout with 2 seconds left, and Charlie Gogolak came in and kicked the game-winning field goal, and they beat the Cowboys. That's the first time I'd ever heard of Sonny Jurgensen.
Well, he had 18 years in the NFL playing for Washington and for the Eagles, 11 seasons with Washington. Of course, he's in our Ring of Fame. He's in the Eagles Ring of Fame. He's in the Hall of Fame, voted in 1983. But a 4th-round pick in 1957. So there's a lot of the fan base here that may know the name, they may know number 9, but they may not know everything about Sonny Jurgensen and what made him so beloved in this fan base. Can you share that with us, and why he was such a star and how he was such a star in D.C.?
That's a large picture to paint. I think the more I think about it, the more I think that he was an everyman. People really identified with Sonny and what he went through. He did not have it easy playing for Washington. I mean, the offensive line was suspect. He got sacked a lot, and yet he had Bobby Mitchell and Charlie Taylor, and Jerry Smith, and when he got a chance to throw the ball, he would rip a defense apart. But it seemed like something always went wrong. You know, with Sonny, it was like he's George Allen's team in 1972 that went to the Super Bowl. Sonny was the quarterback until he got to Yankee Stadium and snapped his Achilles tendon. And then he was out for the rest of the year. In fact, George made him stay up in the press box during the Super Bowl. He didn't want him on the sidelines. But
that's what made the game so great, though, right?
He got traded by the Eagles, and how did he find out? The clerk at a 7-Eleven told him.
They didn't have Twitter back then.
It was constantly something, and I think that people saw that and they said, he's like us. You know, Vince Lombardi comes in and changes Sonny's life, and they have a great year, and Lombardi gets cancer and dies. So people said, you know, I identify with Sonny Jurgensen. I have problems in my life, and this guy comes out and wins, and they loved him.
And we still love him today.
Yeah.
Glad to have him here in the building. Glad to have you here with us.
Listen,
as well, Frank.
Let's take care of the gorilla. There has been some debate and controversy over the fact about my appearance here. I want you to know that a mistake was made. And as soon as this woman and the Commanders found out about it, they took care of it. They got a hold of me. They made the arrangements. I have been treated first class, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, Frank. I have so much love and respect for this game, for this job, and for you and for the work that you do. You know, I am very sorry. I felt partly responsible because months ago we talked about you're here, you're in the booth with us. There is no other way to celebrate today than with you in the booth with us.
It's here.
Here you are. You're going to be in the booth with us. Frank will be in the booth joining us probably right after halftime, so make sure you tune in to Big 100 for that as well. Thank you so much, Frank. Couldn't imagine this day without you, and, of course, what a wonderful day to honor Sonny Jurgensen as well. There is a game yet to be played, though, and we do need to try to take down those arch rivals, the Dallas Cowboys. So coming up, our captain, London Fletcher, joins me from down on the field as players have started to warm up. You can watch that on all of our social media platforms. You're watching Command Center Gameday Live on the Washington Commanders YouTube and social media platforms, and you're listening to Washington Commanders football.
Good. Fire. Grill master, huh?
Burgers, better with Pepsi. We'll make a new bet around every 2 seconds. Not only on the game, but on the game of life. Betting that love is just a swipe away. Betting on picking up that curious hitchhiker carrying a bowling bag. And betting that he doesn't turn out to be a cornhole prodigy. Every moment in life is a bet. But life doesn't offer you up to $1,000 back in free bets if you don't win. So bet on America's #1 sportsbook, FanDuel, and make every moment more.
Determination makes dreams happen.
We make paths that weren't there before.
It doesn't matter how far we have to go.
Or the obstacles we have to overcome.
And even when it seems like we can't go on, you're it.
We learn and we come back stronger than before.
The all-new CR-V Hybrid and CR-V, part of the Honda line of rugged vehicles.
Washington Commanders football is back, and so is our BOGO. On game day, buy 1 large pizza and get a 2nd large pizza for free. Order online or download the app today. Paisanos, official pizza partner of the Washington Commanders.
What's that competition like, you know, once you got back in the mix, too? I know you coming off injury, but you still you want to produce, too.
Yeah, no, definitely. You know, everybody, I feel like I feel like we have a standard in that room. Mm-hmm. It ain't just me, we got Tez.
Yeah.
It ain't just Payne, we got John. Right? It ain't just James, we got Casey. You know, F.A., he coming there. I missed 2 sacks the other day. We getting there. Deshaun a strong dude. Right?
Yeah.
But man, it's competitive. You know, F.A. go get one, I'm like, I bet, for sure. I got to go, you know, but it's good.
Yeah.
I love it. Mm-hmm. Ted, same thing with Ted. Ted know if I go get a sack, he got to go get one. You know, he know that. That's just how we play. Same with John and Payne.
Yeah.
You know, they competing, you know, who going to have the most sacks in the room.
Mm-hmm. When you mentioned Trent Williams going against him, we all know how Trent regarded as the best left tackle in football. And when you were able to have him, on skates a little bit, get trend a little bit, that gave you some confidence.
That gave me some confidence for sure.
I saw you split him one time. I saw you gave him and you did this and you got me skinny. I said, oh, yeah, he got it. He feeling good right now.
But like Santana said, I was watching the game differently. Just I had 15 weeks, and plus after I got hurt, I wasn't the right guy surgery and stuff. But it changed, man.
And joining me now from the field is none other than our captain, London Fletcher. London, it's been an honor and great having you in the booth with us all season long as folks are listening to us on Big 100 and watching us on all of our social media platforms. It's been a very sad week walking around the building, understanding that next week and the weeks that are coming, there's going to be a lot of changes. Football is over for the Washington Commanders as of the end of this game. But here we are. We still have a game to go. Have you as a player been in a situation where you're officially eliminated, and how do you approach it?
Julia, unfortunately, I've been in this situation, a few times in my career during the National Football League. And it's a situation where you want to go out and you want to still put your best foot forward because, it's a situation about being a pro, playing the game the right way, preparing the right way, practicing the right way. And regardless of your record, you want to go out and still perform at a high level. You're still going to be evaluated by how you play, how you finish this game, regardless of all the changes that may take place. So guys have to understand that and go out and play their best football.
Still have to put something good on tape, and I've heard it pretty much any of the former players say, look, you never want to put anything bad on film because that can haunt you. And a lot of guys might be playing for position on this roster, as we've heard the coaching staff talk about, or potentially another roster as well. And, of course, look, it is Dallas. I mean, come on.
Yes.
You want to play spoiler to the Cowboys. We've lost 3 straight to them. Time to be able to end that streak. What better way to close out the season and finally have a winning record as well after the past 2 seasons? Washington has finished with just 7 wins. Look, last week they made the change from Taylor Heineke to Carson Wentz, believing that he would provide a spark for the offense. Look, that performance did not go the way Carson wanted it. The offense wanted it. Offensive coordinator Scott Turner wanted it. What do you make of that decision and now getting a good look at Sam Howell?
Well, as I said during the broadcast when we were playing the San Francisco 49ers and they benched Taylor and brought Carson in, I actually thought it was a bad decision right there. I thought Taylor played a really good football game, but they had really in their mind made up that they wanted to make that change and go to Carson. I think it was more about the 2 New York Giants games where Taylor didn't play his best football, left a lot of points on the board, and that's where they were like, okay, we can't continue to operate like this. Let's get Carson out here with this new running game that we have, see if he can provide a spark in the passing game. But as we saw, that wasn't the case. He made too many critical errors, the interceptions, the running game wasn't there, and the team, quite frankly, didn't rally around him the way that they rallied around Taylor Heineke, and they made that decision, and it, hindsight, it was not the right decision to make.
I know that as well. When Carson won that 21-play drive to be able to score, they had thought about potentially making the change before that long drive and thought that maybe they could build off of that as well. Unfortunately, that did not happen. So they're going to get a good look at Sam Howell today. Do you anticipate offensive coordinator Scott Turner changing the way he calls the game with Howell under center?
He has to, and when you look at the game plan against the Cowboys the first time, a lot of running game. I expect the quick game to be a part of the offense. Our offensive line really has struggled to protect the quarterback regardless of who has been behind center. You can't expose Sam Howell to that type of pressure with this being his first NFL start. I know we want to take shots down the field, and you're going to have to do some drop back, but it can't be a steady dose of that in this game plan against the Dallas Cowboys in the way they can rush the passer. So I expect the run game still to be at the forefront, but also a lot of quick passing game.
One thing before we let you go here, and we will be bringing you back, the players that are warming up, and again, we're showing you that on our social media platforms, are wearing a shirt that has the number 3, Love for DeMar, as obviously it was a very hard week in the NFL this week. You played in Buffalo. Did you talk to anybody up in that organization about how they are handling this as they finally get back to action today against the Patriots?
Yeah. We're in Buffalo, and, I talked to him earlier in the week when he was still, heavily sedated and not having, having come out of the, I guess, induced, sedation. And it was tough. It was an extremely difficult time when you go through a situation like that where you witness a teammate having to have CPR performed on him during that game. There was no way those players were going to be able to play and continue that game against the Cincinnati Bengals. And then I have since spoken to them since, DeMar has made this remarkable recovery. And I tell you, he's energized that building. He's energized that team. With him making the remarkable recovery, being able to speak to his teammates on Zoom. I was listening to the broadcast of their game today against the Patriots, and they took the opening kickoff return for a touchdown. It was just, you just was energized. That team was energized by all that has transpired with him and his recovery.
Always hear how it is a brotherhood within a team within the NFL, and the entire world is getting to see just how close that is here as we are all praying for DeMar. What a remarkable recovery as well. Okay, London Fletcher will be joining us a little bit later in the show as well. And, of course, he is on the call with us on Big 100 for our final game of the season. But when we come back, a good friend of mine, and he is also on the call today for Fox, Kevin Burkhardt, will be joining us. You are watching Command Center Game Day Live on the Washington Commanders YouTube and social media platforms, and you're listening to Washington Commanders Football.
Time now for your Fresh Takes, brought to you by Safeway, the official supermarket of the Washington Commanders.
Logan Paulson and Santana Moss. We're all excited to see what Sam Howell can do under center as the rookie gets his first start today. What are some of your fresh takes here, Santana, on what he's going to do?
My fresh take would be I see Sam going out there and winging it. I see him going out there and being a little pass happy. I think a lot of people think that what we've been doing or come accustomed to the last few weeks of running the ball a lot. Sam has a little something in him that you want to see, so I think the coach is going to let him wing it a little bit and have fun with it and see what his arm has.
Yeah, I mean, I think that'd be awesome to see that. I think it'd be great for the offense. I do think the thing that I want to see is that this defense stops the run. I know they're going to be sans John Allen, they're going to be sans some big pieces. I think the defense stops the run, and then you get to see kind of guys in the back end, Percy Butler, Holmes, do some things that, in terms of growth and maturity that we haven't been able to see from them thus far this year. So really looking forward to that, and just young guys playing good football all around. I think it's going to be really fun to watch.
Don't let Zeke eat, right?
Yeah, right.
At all.
No eating here on Sunday in our house. That's what we want to do. And look, it's going to be an opportunity, as we've even heard from the coaching staff as well, to kind of get a look at some of the younger players, to give them some time where maybe they didn't before, to kind of help with the evaluation process. We hate to be in that situation, but it is what it is. And of course, maybe they all step up and we get the victory as well, because we would love to tell Dallas that they're not going to win on their home. They're not going to be celebrating here as well. Okay, those are your fresh takes from Santana and Logan.
From selecting the perfect produce and triple checking its quality to preparing it for you, we have perfected the art of fresh.
One bag.
The winter play was really coming together. Until disaster struck. Tensions were high. Luckily, replacement costumes were shipped with FedEx, which means Mr. Harvey could picture the perfect night. We're ready for the holidays, so you're ready for what's next.
Determination makes dreams happen.
We make paths that weren't there before.
It doesn't matter how far we have to go.
Or the obstacles we have to overcome.
And even when it seems like we can't go on, you're it.
We learn and we come back stronger than before.
all-new CR-V Hybrid and CR-V, part of the Honda line of rugged vehicles.
And we are brought to you by RTS, a Better Waste Company. Find out more at RTS.com. Kevin Burkhardt calls tonight's game on Fox with Greg Olson, Aaron Andrews, and Tom Rinaldi. And well, he's taken some time out of his prep work to join us now. Appreciate you always making some time for us, Kevin. Here we are closing out the regular season. A lot of the line for Cowboys, and unfortunately for Washington, already eliminated. How do you approach covering these games from both sides with the understanding of what both teams are playing for or for not?
Oh, yeah, Julia, first of all, great to be with you again. And it's interesting, right, because there's a lot of different factors in today's game. Yeah, there's a lot on the line for the Cowboys, but there could be a point you look up at the scoreboard and it's 21-0 Eagles over the Giants, and then that kind of goes away. And I think they know that. You know, like I think, look, you can't rest everybody. Obviously, the rosters aren't deep enough, but I think guys like Tony Pollard, who's been banged up, Micah Parsons, Trayvon Diggs, you know, when you get to that point, if that does happen, if Philly pulls ahead, I think you're going to see them out of the game. So you see how Dallas manages today, depending on what Philly is doing. And for Washington, I just think it's all about Sam Howell. Look, you can't make a decision on his entire career with one start today, but I think if I'm a Commanders fan, I'm sitting home saying, let's see what this kid's got. I mean, you know, obviously, as you know, the quarterback has been a question mark for a long time here, and I'm excited to see what he can do. I mean, I watched him in college a good amount, so I can't wait to watch him play.
You know, the Cowboys coming. We're not going to talk about resting anybody now, depending on, to your point, where the Eagles are and where this game is maybe in the second half. That storyline could very well change. Washington, meanwhile, is going in very shorthanded with a lot of players going on IR down to injury. And this is the opportunity, Kevin, to be able to get a look at not just Sam Howell, but maybe some of the other younger players that they are still trying to evaluate that might not normally get in there and get some game time.
Yeah.
But you talked with the coaches about it. What are they anticipating and expecting to see from Sam, and how much may the offense change with him?
Yeah, I think it's a great point. You know, and we're going to see some of those guys, right? I think we're going to see Chris Paul at left guard. They get a chance to have his first NFL snaps and see what he could do. The offensive line, we know, needs to improve next year. I think for how, you know, what Sam told us, and he may have told you the same this week, and they're going to do some of the concepts that were, you know, in the playbook earlier that maybe they haven't done a lot this year, because that's what he did. That's what he did in the preseason, and those are the things that he's familiar with. I think the fascinating thing for him today is, obviously you mentioned, I mean, unfortunately they're without a lot of big players today, but he had never really thrown to Terry McLaurin at all, right? So all of a sudden he's like, hey, I'm Sam Howell. Here's a couple of how I throw the football a little bit. And same thing with Curtis Samuel. But we know this, you know, being the backup and being the backup's backup, well, you throw the guys that, you know, down the list a little bit. And we know he's got a rep with De'Ami Brown. They had some fireworks in college. So I kind of expect him to be heavily involved today and see those two rekindle the North Carolina days a little bit.
And a little bit of the talk is, like, I think De'Ami was one of the first ones to text Sam when they did draft him and says, yes, my buddy's coming here. And look, De'Ami is still trying to solidify his spot in this offense as well. So they will automatically have chemistry. Anticipate maybe a few of those calls, hopefully going well for Washington. Let me ask you this. Here's Washington now for 3 straight years under head coach Ron Rivera with 7 wins. How close would you say that they are from being a contender?
Well, I would have answered this, you know, quite differently a month ago, with the way things were looking, and obviously it hasn't been a great 4 games. I think they've made some strides. There's no question about that. I think they've made some strides. They've been very, very competitive. Obviously, playoffs first year. Certainly had it within their grasp here this year. I think you look at a couple of areas, though. You know, overall, the defense has played well. They have some stars on defense. We know that, especially along the defensive line. Getting Chase Young back healthy at the end of this year, I think, is good and a good thing for next year. But offensive line really went down this year compared to last year. And it just comes down to quarterback, right? And I know that it's not just because that's a big deal. And teams that don't have a quarterback and don't have that spot, well, they don't usually win. Because I think that they've got really good skill position players. I mean, the wideout group, I think, is really, really good. I think the tight end group is solid. Obviously, Brian Robinson showed you a lot this year, and you know Gibson is there when he'll come back next year. So, you know, I like what they have around on offense and some of the pieces, but unfortunately, as you know, until you solve the biggest piece, which is the quarterback, you just can't win in this league. And so it's one game. I know it's not make or break, but I think a lot of Washington fans are just excited. Just have a couple plays. It's almost like, you know, you go out and golf, and if you're an average golfer like me, you have 1 or 2 good holes, and then if you're Washington, just show me a couple good throws, a couple good runs from Sam Howell today, and then I'm all in, ready to go for next.
Because you have no time to golf, sir.
Well, maybe. I don't know, Julie. I'm just bad regardless. But, yeah, you get the idea.
Kevin will be on the call for the Super Bowl as well. Congratulations on that, by the way. Is Dallas built? Because we know they got into the postseason last year with a very quick and early exit. Are they built to go the distance to get to Arizona?
Yeah, I think they are for sure. And it's funny when you look at some of the things they've said about the Cowboys, it's always, oh my goodness, Dak, all these interceptions. I just think it's overblown. I mean, look, you're not trying to throw interceptions, and he has thrown a bunch, but about half of them have not been his fault. And here's the thing I look at for Dak Prescott. Since he's come back, they're averaging 35 points a game. 35 points a game. It's number one in the league. They're tops in third down since he's come back. I think they're second in red zone offense since he's come back. And more importantly, they're 8-2. The only 2 losses are in overtime on the road to Jacksonville and to Green Bay. I don't know what else you want. I mean, with this defense, with the playmaking that they have, I think the one concern for Dallas going forward is this. The last month or so, first of all, they lead the league in turnovers. They're big-time playmakers, and we know they have a great pass rush, but the last month the pass rush has fallen off a little bit. Not only the sacks, but they haven't gotten the quarterback nearly as much. So I think that is a little bit concerning. But overall, can Dallas make a run and get to the Super Bowl? I don't see why not. I mean, they're ridiculously talented, and I think they have all the right pieces in the right places.
You get there, they say it's an entirely new season. The Cowboys will be advancing after day. Unfortunately for Washington, so many questions loom on the horizon on so many fronts, just not with the coaching staff, but also with the direction of the franchise as well. Kevin Burkhardt, have a great call. Thanks again so much for always taking time for us.
Julie, you too. Enjoy it.
Now, when we come back, quarterbacks, a lot about Sam Howell. And so what better way to continue the conversation than to bring in one of the best quarterbacks that also was here since we are retiring, Sonny Jurgensen's number coming up. We will have another legendary QB, Billy Kilmer, a Washington fan favorite, an old teammate and longtime friend of Sonny. You're watching Command Center Game Day live on the Washington Commanders YouTube and social media platforms, and this is the Washington Commanders Football Radio Network.
We'll make a new bet around every 2 seconds. Not only on the game, but on the game of life. Betting that love is just a swipe away. Betting on picking up that curious hitchhiker carrying a bowling bag. And betting that he doesn't turn out to be a cornhole prodigy. Every moment in life is a bet. But life doesn't offer you up to $1,000 back in free bets if you don't win. So bet on America's #1 sportsbook, FanDuel. And make every moment more.
Adventure doesn't wait. It happens here and now, in the moment. It doesn't back down, sit quietly, or follow the herd. It pushes the limits and empowers freedom of movement. Adventure grabs you and says, let's go places. Now get as low as 3.99% APR on Highlanders and RAV4s. Toyota, let's go places.
At Therabody, we believe that everybody deserves a chance to keep going, keep dancing, keep celebrating, and reuniting.
It's never too late to rise. You got that fire in you. It's never too late to rise.
Because everybody is a Therabody.
We had one workout at Georgetown University, and, I'd never really met Sonny before. I'd just come in the night before, and we went out to practice, and practiced. And then afterwards, kind of walking out the gym together, I asked Sonny, I said, by the way, where can you get a chocolate milk around here somewhere? And he said, well, jump in the car with me, and we'll find a place. And we went up Wisconsin Avenue and found a place, and we've been friends ever since. Well, naturally, he had a great arm and could throw the ball. But what was very telling about him, he had such a touch. I mean, sometimes when he threw the ball, it seemed like it went around linebackers or it went over linebackers' head, right into the receiver's arms. He had such a great touch and just a wonderful delivery. And I tried to copy him many times, you know. I think he made me a little better passer because I tried to copy some of his moves.
Tonight's game broadcast is presented by NRG, a proud partner of the Washington Commanders. So Billy Kilmer played 16 years in the NFL, including 8 seasons in Washington from 71 to 1978. A 2-time All-Pro in Washington, including 1972, when he led the NFL in passing touchdowns en route to the franchise's first Super Bowl appearance. Now to get to Super Bowl VII, Billy led Washington over Dallas. We love that, 26-3 in an iconic NFC Championship game that we just celebrated the 50th anniversary of last week on New Year's Eve. He is also a member of Washington's Ring of Fame and one of the franchise's 90 greatest ever, and he joins us now. Glad to have you here with us, Billy.
Thank you, Julie. It's great to be here and to honor Sonny.
Yeah, so of course we are retiring the number 9 jersey here today, and we've got the number 9 patches all around. I've got my Sonny gear on. Are you okay with a lot of the gear and a lot of the signage we're going to see? It says that I like Sonny. You're okay with that?
It's okay. I got my like Sonny thing on. Sure, it's great. You know, when we were playing and they had the I like Billy, I like Sonny thing, and I'm riding with Sonny. We're going to our local malt shop, right, one day, and there was a lady that was driving a car above me and had a I like Sonny bumper sticker on. I said, Sonny, pull up next to her, and I leaned my head out the window and yelled at her, take that sticker off, and I started laughing, and I said, he likes it, and she looked over and saw me and Sonny together, and she almost ran off the road.
You have remained friends over all these years as well. What does today mean for Sonny and his family?
Well, it means a lot. And I'm sorry to say it probably should have happened, 15, 16, 20 years ago, whatever. It's great. It's about time they did it. He was a legend in this town. He was a great football player. I never really replaced him. I was just lucky enough to be here with, he got injured a lot, and I got a chance to play and had great teammates. But Sonny deserves it all. He really does.
Do you have any great off-the-field stories you can share about Sonny?
Well, not
not ones that are clear for air? Okay.
No, not really. He don't want me to be telling stories on him either.
That's why you remain friends. We appreciate that circle of trust. Well, what is it about the way he played the game? Because a lot of today's fan base, they know Sonny, they know number 9, but they may not understand just how great of a quarterback he was.
Well, he was a magician with the football. He not only had a great arm, of course, and everybody saw it and how his stats there, but he had a great touch. He could, and sometimes it seemed like the ball would run around linebackers. The guy would be there and it'd be around him. It was just the great touch that Sonny had on the ball. And of course, he was a great student of the game and knew the game real well. And he was great accuracy. He was a great accurate passer. And I can't say enough about it. Oh, one thing about him. 2 years after our Super Bowl VII, we're playing RFK in '74 against the Miami Dolphins. And Sonny started against them, and he played one of the great games I've ever seen him play. In fact, he threw a touchdown pass at the end of the game to beat him that time. And it kind of made me think, I wish that we had a Sonny about 2 years before that.
It's always about what you can do on the field and taking someone down. And, of course, one of the reasons that we chose this game is because Sonny had one of the best comebacks against the Dallas Cowboys. But let me ask you about that NFC Championship game. What do you remember most about beating Dallas when you were headed to the Super Bowl?
Well, probably the most thing I remember is I was having coffee early in the morning with my teammates, Ron McDowell, Pat Fisher and Darren Talbert. And I was reading in the Washington Post that Tom Landry was starting Roger Staubach because Roger was a better athlete than me. I almost come right out of the chair. I was ready to play right then. I was motivated really, I'm sorry it was a 4 o'clock game. It could have played right then. I was motivated more than anything for that game. And, of course, during the game, our defense played so good during the playoffs, and even in the Super Bowl, we played good enough defense to win. Our defense was so good, and it made my job easier. I didn't have to force the ball and everything, and then I made that pass to Charlie Taylor to ice the game up the first play of the fourth quarter. That's the things I can remember about it. It was just a great New Year's Eve.
No better way to close a year out than with a game like that.
That's right.
We're so glad and honored to have you here with us and share the special day with Sonny. We know that you guys have stayed close friends since your days of being rival quarterbacks. I like Sonny. I like Billy. What a wonderful day here to celebrate Sonny.
It sure is, and I'm sure glad to be here.
Well, let's hope Washington can do a miraculous thing here and pull out a victory over the Cowboys. That was how this was scripted up, folks. That was the whole point to all of this. There's supposed to be a whole bunch on the line here against your rivals, the Dallas Cowboys, and Washington's supposed to walk out with a victory. They certainly still can, but of course it will be the final game of the regular season here. It all goes down to the direction and the leadership of the head coach, Ron Rivera. So when we come back, I have my conversation with Coach Rivera. Stick around for that. You're watching Command Center Game Day live on the Washington Commanders YouTube and social media platforms, and this is the Washington Commanders Football Radio Network.
Veterans, you may have earned a variety of VA benefits. Did you know VA can help you further your education and pursue professional training? The Home Loan Guarantee Program can help you buy, repair, or adapt a home. VA provides housing support if you find yourself homeless or at risk of homelessness. And don't forget world-class healthcare. Learn more about these and other VA benefits. Visit choose.va.gov.
Determination makes dreams happen.
We make paths that weren't there before.
It doesn't matter how far we have to go.
Or the obstacles we have to overcome.
And even when it seems like we can't go on, you're it.
We learn and we come back stronger than before.
The all-new CR-V Hybrid and CR-V, part of the Honda line of rugged vehicles.
Didn't have to love me like you did, but you did, but you did. And I thank you. Didn't have to love me like you did, but you did, but you did. And I thank you.
For 50 years, you loved playing the Maryland Lottery. All the fun we have and good we do is thanks to you. Thanks for playing.
We thank you.
Trust, you remember my story with Chase. Obviously, going to Michigan myself.
Please tell the story, dude.
He's at Ohio State, obviously.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and he was on the field goal block team. And this dude would be jumping over the line between the A gap, B gap, jumping up, trying to block the field goal.
Yeah.
And I've only smack talk once in my entire college
And he picked
career.
the biggest dude on the field?
And it was when we played them. We made the field goal, went right up to Chase. And I
Heisman my ass.
I just
what
went
you
off.
said?
Yeah.
Oh,
And I went off on him.
It's always the long snapper.
I told
Hayes
Cheese.
I told him.
gets into it with a long snapper every game.
I told Cheese.
I told him, I
Cheese-
said, throw a punch. I was like, let's get
You
this
said
guy.
that?
Yes, I was like, let's get this guy out of the game. I'll shake one for the
Dude,
team.
I told Cheese, I was just like, what if one day, like, the locker room's empty, and it just happens to be you and Chase, and Chase has a locker really close to the specialist. 3 down. And what if everybody's out of there except for you and Chase, and you're just sitting there, maybe you're getting dressed, and you turn around, and he's just rating your grill, and he looks at you and goes, I remember what you said.
What would you do?
Jesus.
I don't know. I don't know what I would do. I'd have to run or
position
something.
ASAP and just start. You'd find a whistle.
I would yell for the guys in the equipment room.
Oh yeah, they're definitely not helping you.
Somebody help me out.
And Washington is getting set to close out the season against the Dallas Cowboys. And after today, well, there will be a lot of questions that need to be addressed in the offseason. So who better to go to prepare for today and what is to come than the head coach, Ron Rivera. Here's my weekly conversation with the coach.
Damar Hamlin, awake, alert. What it absolutely could have been a terrifying situation, which was, but could have been so much worse. But the way that they responded so quickly, that this young man still has a chance.
Oh, most certainly. And again, kudos to the doctors for following the protocol that they needed to and understanding what the situation circumstances was. They were able to resuscitate him and get him transported to the UC hospital. And because of that, you know, again, I really do believe it really shows just the value and the need to make sure that there is proper medical attention for players.
Look, we understand how physical this game is, but it was so great to me to be able to see the beauty of everybody coming together and rallying despite whatever side that they were on or team they were rooting for, just to make sure that he has a chance to come back.
Well, I think the biggest thing, too, is kudos goes to the two head coaches. I think Zach Taylor and Sean McDermott handled that situation about as well as it could, mostly because of their concern was for the player and for the players. And I really do kudos to those guys because I really do think that helped the NFL get to the right decision.
Let's pray you're never in that situation.
Oh, hopefully.
Let's talk about the situation you do have coming up and the decision that you did make there, going to rookie quarterback, once again, a change. Sam Howell is going to be under center. What went into that decision?
Well, you know, there are a lot of things. Initially, the thought was maybe what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll start Taylor, have him go for a while, and then we'll bring Sam in afterwards. But one of the things we kept talking about is eventually, you know, if Sam ever gets the opportunity to be a starter, why don't we just get the first one out of the way? So we thought, you know what, let's take a look at that. And the more we talked about, the more it made sense to give this young man his opportunity to see how he handles it. So far, things have gone well. He's had really good practices. And so I'm excited to watch him play on Sunday.
Does what you want to run change with him back there?
No, it doesn't, because the big thing more than anything else is, you know, we want to commit to the running game. We want to be able to chew up some clock, you know, keep our defense off, and again, grind it out. And I think we have that ability. I think it'll open up some other things for him as well if we can do it successfully, and that is the play-action passing game.
You know, it's a time coming, unfortunately, sooner than we'd like, where you do really get evaluations on the teams. And so this is a chance to really kind of evaluate Sam at that position going forward. What about some other key areas around him and on this team? How do you balance making sure you go out there with the right approach to win the game, but maybe giving some folks a really good look?
We have a couple of young guys that we do really want to take a look at, especially, you know, offensive line. We want to see Chris Paul get an opportunity to play a little bit more. So we'll give him his chance, his opportunity for sure. A couple of young defensive linemen will get a little bit more work, a couple of linebackers, some of the DBs as well. I mean, one of the positions that we're feel very strongly about is wide receiver, but we're going to give some young guys. We'll get Diami out there a little bit more. We'll get Dax out there a little bit more and get a chance to see those young guys.
You know, the Cowboys come in with one of the best defenses, especially at getting after the quarterback. How do you protect him in that situation, knowing that they can't get sacks on you and Micah Parsons is coming?
Well, one of the big things is we've got to be able to run the ball and be able to have some success up front. Because, again, running the ball effectively does slow down the pass rushes. And so one of the things that, you know, our guys have worked on all week really is just being able to open up those holes. And if we can get it going, again, it'll bode well for what we want to do.
We talk a lot about the messaging that you give to the guys and to this team. It's a unique situation this week. And, again, it's disappointing, I think, for everybody. But how do you keep your guys focused this week? What is that message to them?
Well, more than anything else, it's an opportunity to play one more time and play hard. It's an opportunity to set the tone and tempo going into 2023 next year. And so we've really tried to stress that, hey, let's just focus in. All we're asking is, you know, 5 more days, 4 more days, 3 more days, 2 more days, and then game day. So let's focus in and build everything up for that and just put it all on the line and see what happens.
And it's beat Dallas week.
Yes, it is.
Thank you,
Coach. Beat Dallas.
And when we come back, London Fletcher is going to join us to talk about how Washington can beat Dallas and what moves need to be made in the offseason. You're watching Command Center Game Day live on the Washington Commanders YouTube and social media platforms, and this is the Washington Commanders Football Radio Network. Time now for your keys to winning, brought to you by Bank of America. What would you like the power to do?
I have Logan Paulson and Santana Moss with me. And yes, this is the final game of the season. And yes, we understand Washington has already been eliminated from the postseason. But today they have a chance to play spoiler to the Dallas Cowboys. And who doesn't want to do that more than us?
Yeah.
Santana, how can they do it?
I think number one on my list would be on the defensive side of the ball. We have to stop the run. I think stopping the run would be key. last week when we saw Jonathan Allen leave the game, it was hard for us to stop the run, and Chubb took advantage of that. And beyond stopping the run, I want to see this team end the season with making the proper adjustments. I think the proper adjustments hasn't been done often this year, so hopefully we have something in store this last game of the season.
Last game of the season, I think the most important, thing they need to take care of is get Sam Howell comfortable.
Yeah. Right.
He hasn't played a lot. He doesn't know the receivers, doesn't know the protections. Like, how quickly can you get him ready in this week to go against the Dallas defense that's very, very talented? I think that's going to be a huge variable, and I want to see Scott Turner call an excellent game plan. Keep him in his wheelhouse, get him nice and comfortable.
I asked head coach Ron Rivera how much of the game plan changes now that you've gone from Carson to Taylor to Sam, and he said it's pretty much going to be the same thing. But Sam was also, remember, he was the number 2. He was one play away from getting in there when Carson Wentz was injured. So he does have a little bit of reps, of course, all the reps this week with the first team, but of course he has not had that live action, and he hasn't faced the Cowboys. So it's going to be an exciting game to call, and of course one we look forward to seeing how it does play out and how Sam does under center.
You ever wonder why people are always on their phones? They're banking with Bank of America. Look at this guy. He bought those tickets on his credit card and he's racking up the rewards.
She's using Zelle to pay him back for the hot dogs he's about to buy.
That's going to bring it to
And
a
the
close here
announcer?
after 3.
He's not checking the stats. He's finding some investment ideas with Merrill.
And third, as you know, in baseball means 3.
Digital tools so impressive, you just can't stop banking. What would you like the power to do?
It's 4th down, seconds on the clock. He hands it off, finds a hole in the middle. Clear, nothing but
Brian moves!
a touchdown for the win. I can't believe it.
Pizza, better with Pepsi.
Determination makes dreams happen.
We make paths that weren't there before,
It doesn't matter how far we have to go.
or the obstacles we have to overcome.
And even when it seems like we can't go on, you're it.
We learn and we come back stronger than before.
The all-new CR-V Hybrid and CR-V, part of the Honda line of rugged vehicles.
Well, my baby doll gives me special love. It's the kind of stuff.
Honey, it's your turn.
I'm on cloud 9.
Pizza, better with Pepsi.
And we are sponsored and presented by Chesapeake Employers Insurance Company, now with lower workers' comp rates and a corporate dividend. And joining me now is the third member of our broadcast booth, as we just heard Bram Weinstein calling some of the greater plays that we had this season. It is London Fletcher, of course. He's in the Ring of Fame, one of the 90 greatest, and up for the Pro Football Hall of Fame as well. London joins me now. Okay, London, we're talking about this game for Washington and going into it understanding they are eliminated from the postseason. They're taking a good look, as head coach Ron Rivera told me, at not just quarterback Sam Howell, but some other players. And partly a lot of that is because, well, they are really shorthanded. So let me, before we get into this discussion, give you the inactives for Washington. It is running back Brian Robinson Jr. He is out. Carson Wentz is inactive as well. Cameron Curl is inactive. Andrew Norwell, guard, he is out. Tackle Cornelius Lucas, he's out as well. Defensive tackle John Allen will not be playing. Defensive end James Smith-Williams will not be playing. Of course, it is a lot of players going to IR this week as well. So you're not going to see Antonio Gibson out there. You're not going to see Jamin Davis out there. For Dallas, you have Will Greer, Jalen Tolbert, receiver, Israel Mukoamu, Marquise Bell, Leighton Vander Esch. They want to save him for the postseason. Tyler Biadish, and then Quentin Bohanna. Today's injury and active report is presented by Optima Health Plan, a health plan that you can count on. So given all of that, London, who are we going to have a good look at today for Washington?
Well, it sounds like we're going to have a lot of look at a lot of young guys. You know, Chris Paul, he's going to start at the left guard position. Really excited about seeing him play. Just talking to some of the guys around here, they said the defensive linemen say he's the most difficult guy that they have to deal with in practice. So I'm really excited to see Chris Paul play. You know, some of the young linebackers. You're going to see Khalid Hudson also play. You know, Milo Eifert. See those guys play and see what they can do. This is an opportunity. I made my first start in a game like this into my rookie year, last game of the season. I went out and made a name for myself and ended up being a starter the rest of my career. So this game matters for those guys.
Great opportunity for a lot of players to go out there and put something positive on film for the coaching staff, be it here or somewhere else. And I just absolutely hate that this is the point of season that we are in, because it is such a long season, but I feel like it just goes by like this. So we go in today's game with a little bit of sadness, knowing it is a last game, but it is an opportunity for many to step up here. Sam Howell will be that guy that has the opportunity. As Ron Rivera said, he went back and forth. Is it going to be Taylor Heineke? But if you're going to give Sam Howell an opportunity, why not just give it to him from the get-go? What are you anticipating from Sam, fully understanding that to start this game, the Cowboys have a lot to play for. So they're not going to be resting necessarily anyone coming into this. And we know that D-line is one of the best, top 3 in the league with 51 sacks so far this season at getting after the quarterback.
This is going to be a great opportunity for Sam to go out and prove, how he's grown since the preseason, since the last time we saw him on a football field. He's looking at this as an opportunity to show them that he should be in the mix to be the starting quarterback next season for this football team. We're going to see his athleticism. I expect to see him maybe use his legs a little bit, especially in some off-schedule plays. That's one of the things he can do. We know he can run, so I'm sure maybe we'll see some of the zone read plays where he decides to keep it a little bit. I want to just see him go out and not be afraid to cut it loose and have fun playing the game of football.
Have fun. Exactly what Frank Herzog said. Sonny Jurgensen, as we were retiring the number 9 today, if he was offering him advice, he would tell him to have fun. Look, this is your first start in the NFL. You know, you will set the expectation of what folks want to see from you going into this. But, of course, he is going to be under evaluation. There will be nerves at hand, and Washington is in need. He is the 8th different starting quarterback under head coach Ron Rivera in 3 seasons. This is a position that has not been solidified, and what he does will go a long ways to what this team does in the offseason. Do you believe the quarterback of next year is currently on this roster?
You know, I don't know. I do know this. We'll find a lot of in today's ball game. We know Taylor, he's not under contract next year. I'm sure they would love to bring him back, you know, in a position maybe to compete for the starting spot. Sam should be here, and I think they're going to add somebody else in the mix, whether it's through the draft or via free agency, to compete for that starting quarterback position, unless they make some trade with a guy who's already a proven starter. But we'll find out a lot about Sam Howell and what he's able to do in this ball game, and whether he deserves to be in that conversation as the starting quarterback next season.
Know how important that position is to a franchise and how desperate Washington is to be able to have solidified that position as well. So there will be many questions about the quarterback in the offseason. What other position groups will you be looking at maybe today to see have guys done enough to be able to really help this team moving forward?
Well, as I mentioned, the offensive line, we're going to get a great look at Chris Paul at the left guard position. Sam Cosmi, he's going to be back starting at the right tackle position. Since he got injured, he hasn't regained his starting position back. So today he'll be back in the starting lineup at the right tackle position. They need to find out, is he a starting right tackle, or will he, is his future more at the right guard position? So you'll find out about Sam Cosmi in this game. He's gonna get challenged by these pass rushers by the Dallas Cowboys. Those will go a big way. I mentioned the linebackers. Depth at the linebacker position. Are those guys somebody we can count on, or do you need to go out and draft another linebacker and see what's there?
He thought that they would address that linebackers in the offseason, but they had faith in the guys that were coming back. And Cole Holcomb, of course, he's been undergoing injury, still has a boot on his foot, and he's very anxious to get that off. But head coach Ron Rivera said the doctors are telling him he has to keep it on before he can start moving around too much on that. And, of course, Jamin Davis now goes to IR. A lot of questions going into the offseason. Not questioning today the legacy of Sonny Jurgensen. He probably called quite a few of your games. Do you have any interactions with him from your time here in Washington?
Oh man, I have many interactions with Sonny during my time here. I just remember just seeing him, in the locker room after the game. Him and Sam Huff, they would come and interview us, and it was such a fun time being around those guys. I would see Sonny a lot when we were flying to away games. He'd be at the facility early. He had that cigar in his mouth, and he's just chewing it, and we'd have conversation. Man, just a legend, not only here in Washington but throughout the National Football League. I'm glad he's able to get his flowers while he's still living, and to be able to enjoy this moment and to have his number retired. That's this overdue when you think about the legacy that Sonny has, and to be in the game, calling the game in the booth where he used to sit. That's humbling as well.
Most certainly. He has left and will forever leave here. Glad to have him and his family on hand for today's ceremony. Okay, London, we'll check in with you when it is time for kickoff. That'll be coming up at 4:25. But when we come back here in our pregame show, Brim Weinstein will be joining me. We're going to talk about the playoff scenarios going into this, the picture of what it looks like around the NFL as the Commanders' offseason needs will also be continuing as well, what we need there. You're watching Command Center Game Day Live on the Washington Commanders YouTube and social media platforms, and you're listening to Washington Commanders Football.
Washington Commanders football is back, and so is our BOGO. On game day, buy one large pizza and get a second large pizza for free. Order online or download the app today. Paisanos, official pizza partner of the Washington Commanders.
We'll make a new bet around every 2 seconds. Not only on the game, but on the game of life. Betting that love is just a swipe away. Betting on picking up that curious hitchhiker carrying a bowling bag. And betting that he doesn't turn out to be a cornhole prodigy. Every moment in life is a bet, but life doesn't offer you up to $1,000 back in free bets if you don't win. So bet on America's #1 sportsbook, FanDuel, and make every moment more.
Determination makes dreams happen.
We make paths that weren't there before.
It doesn't matter how far we have to go.
Or the obstacles we have to overcome.
And even when it seems like we can't go on, you're it.
We learn and we come back stronger than before.
The all-new CR-V Hybrid and CR-V, part of the Honda line of rugged vehicles.
Dude, fire. Grill master, huh?
Burgers, better with Pepsi.
So, what we got going on right now, when it comes to this trivia stuff, I'm glad they gave me a card because I hate it. And I'm glad I'm asking you something about yourself.
Right.
So 9 times out of 10, you might know. So,
right.
But I'm going to ask you, because sometimes we don't, our brain might not be working. At Penn State, right? You caught for 183 receptions in your career. That was second to someone else. Who was the guy that has the most catches at Penn State?
Deshaun Hamilton.
Deshaun Hamilton. There you go.
Yes, sir. All right. You scored a lot of touchdowns in your career. What team did you score the most touchdowns against in your career?
What team did I score the most touchdowns? See, I told y'all I hate trivia, man. Because I might be the one that don't know this answer. The most touchdowns. Lord have mercy. Is it the Cowboys?
It's not the Cowboys. It's in the division, though.
It got to be the Giants. Then.
Giants. 11
I know those touchdowns. 2. See, the Cowboys had the most yards, so okay. Okay, so you was a long jumper state champ your sophomore year in high school. How far you jumped that year?
24, 4.5.
I mean, you know this thing to the T, man. You sure you ain't? You ain't
that wasn't too long ago.
That wasn't too long ago.
Yeah.
Second and 20 at the 41, jump to the left of Watson, 3 wide receivers to the right. David Njoku just standing up on the edge of the line. Pressure right up the middle, and they got him! Right up the middle! Good pressure there by Daron Payne. That is sack number 10.5 on the season. He is the first Washington defensive player to go double-digit sacks since Ryan Kerrigan back in 2018.
And Duran's sack is our intelligent play of the game, presented by Fognigma. Command the cloud, dominate cyber operations with Fognigma. Joining me once again is Bram Weinstein. It's been fun calling a lot of these great plays that this team has had. Unfortunately, just not enough, Bram.
Not enough of them. A couple of notable things that you brought up, Daron Payne here. He is tied with Dave Butts for the most sacks by an interior defensive lineman today, so he could change that. Today, hopefully against Dak Prescott. Terry McLaurin 2 yards away from a single season high, so that hopefully will happen today from the arm of Sam Howell. So there are some notable things to watch out for today. And then, listen, who knows? Who knows? This series is littered with crazy results. Who knows today?
There's always a competition amongst the D-line themselves of who can come out with the most sacks. But when we talk about potentially resting players, Duran doesn't need to prove himself anymore. He is already showing that he is one of the best interior lineman defensive tackles out there. And when you talk to some of the coaches, they'll tell you he still has more to go.
Yeah.
He has not reached his full potential just yet, but he is still playing for something. You still have a lot of players out here that are playing for something that is very meaningful to them.
Yep.
So they're not just going to sit back and lay down. And another thing, you talk to them as well, they say, look, this may for some, you never guaranteed another game in the NFL. This is the last game of this season as well. So let's talk a little bit, though, about the playoff picture as we're now in the second half of the 1 p.m. games. We'll give you a little bit of a scoreboard here. Most all of these games here are in the third quarter. The Bills are up 21-17 over the Patriots. Of course, we know that their game of Monday Night Football got, pushed off. DeMar Hamlin is doing well. So many emotions going into that game for them. The Bengals are up 27-10 over the Ravens. The Vikings up 26-13 over the Bears. The Steelers up 20-7 over the Browns. A tie game between the Jets and Dolphins at 6-all. And the Texans lead the Colts 24-21.
If those scores hold, by the way, if the Vikings do beat the Bears and the Texans do beat the Colts, the Bears get the number 1 overall pick. They have a quarterback. So that really shakes the draft really upside down, because if the Texans were to get it, that most people would believe likely they're going to take the best quarterback on the board. Well, if the Bears have the number 1 overall pick, I think it's open for business at what's going to happen at the top of the draft.
And, of course, the Dallas Cowboys, they could potentially clinch the NFC East if the Eagles lose. So they'll be probably paying attention to that score as well.
They will. They're playing at the same time, Eagles-Giants. The Giants have already announced Daniel Jones is not playing today. I'm assuming Saquon Barkley's not going to play because they're locked in the 6th seed. There's nothing they can do. For Dallas, obviously a lot is on the line. If they were to win and the Eagles were to lose, they bare minimum win the division, get a home game in the playoffs. If they are to get even more fortunate and have the 49ers lose, they'd get the 1 seed and a bye. So there's a lot on the table here. But but they'll be scoreboard watching like everybody else. And considering the Giants are kind of waving a white flag a little bit today, it would seem to reason that without a really strange result in the Philly Giants game, that in all likelihood Philadelphia ends up as the 1 seed, and Dallas will have to settle for being the top wild card.
And then we shall see at that point of the game, depending also where they are playing us, do the Cowboys decide to potentially rest maybe some of theirs, because they will be playing on after this game. And coming into it, they said, no, we're not resting anybody. They knew what they were going out there for, but so many different factors can play into that. Let's talk about some of the bright spots that we had for 2022. We talk about Deron Payne, of course, out there, the defensive line, being able to get Chase Young back out, seeing Montez Sweat really kind of come into his own as well. What other areas of this team were really kind of something that you said, okay, this is what we build around?
Well, I want to focus on the D-line first, because number one, we've been talking about them as a group showing their potential, and I think they did it this year largely without Chase Young. You'll look at every metric, and Deron Payne and John Allen had arguably the best combo defensive tackle statistically, analytically this year than any combo in the NFL. They were outstanding. Montez Sweat had a good year. So even without Chase Young, I think we saw the potential of all those first-round picks. I think that was a really, really big deal to me. And then the other thing that I think really stands out to me this year is Jahan Dotson is a massive hit.
Right.
Okay, so they have a 1 and 1A at wide receiver. They clearly have a collection of weapons that is different than they've had in a very long time. We can have a conversation about whether they were utilized correctly or why they didn't score as many points as they did. But I think we can all see the talent that is sitting there and go, okay, these are things to build on for next year. Collection of skill position players and a defensive line that we'll see with Deron, but hopefully we'll be able to come back intact and with Chase Young back and healthy again next year.
You know, coming into the season, head coach Ron Rivera, the coaching staff, they understood the urgency of trying to make this be a year where they really took a turn, because you do have, to your point, all those guys on defense that now you have question marks of can you keep them together, what does happen, what decisions, and a lot of players that are going to be needing to be paid as well, and you just sometimes can't keep them all. Again, unfortunately, didn't take as much of a turn as we probably really wanted, which is why we're in the situation saying, okay, after today, it's the postseason. It is all done. Tomorrow's going to be a very dark day out at Ashburn at the park, cleaning out lockers. We always hate that, starting bright and early, 8 a.m. So what areas do you want to see them build on this offseason?
So I think there are 3 depth positions that need to be addressed. Offensive line is going to have to be readdressed, and my gut tells me right now that that's the spot at the top of the draft for them in the first round, a tackle in all likelihood right now. I think they're going to have to address the interior O-line based on Chase Roulier's health coming back, and at guard as well. So there's a number of positions there. They need depth at linebacker. They're going to have to make a decision about Cole Holcomb. He is a free agent to be. And then in the secondary, some depth at corner seems to be something that's on the table. And then the big question that never seems to go away, and we're talking about it on Sonny Jurgensen Day, is who's the quarterback next year? How are they going to address it? Who's got the authority to go out and either move up in the draft if the Bears have the number 1 overall pick, or do they try to make a trade for a Derek Carr? Are they willing to go spend money on a prominent free agent? We don't know. So that, of course, is the overarching huge question of the offseason again.
The game will be played. We're not to the postseason just yet, so those question marks will remain. Give us some of your fantasy players for today.
So, all right, let's be optimistic here. Sam Howell. Let's have a big day for Sam Howell in fantasy. Puts up some numbers and gives us some hope at the quarterback position and shows himself off in his debut. And for Dallas, CeeDee Lamb has been killing it lately. I don't know how long he's going to be out on the field. He's had multiple 10-plus catch games. Once again, Benjamin St. Juste isn't playing. Cam Curl isn't playing. So they're vulnerable in the secondary. CeeDee Lamb probably has a pretty good, at least first half against Washington today.
Well, the Fantasy Football Report is presented by FanDuel. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official partner of the Washington Commanders. And when we come back here, we're going to take a closer look at the Commanders' quarterback situation with ESPN's John Keim. You're watching Command Center Game Day live on the Washington Commanders YouTube and social media platforms, and this is the Washington Commanders Football Radio Network.
You have to live.
I'm sorry, Tex.
You don't have to be sorry. You never ran from anything in your life, and you're not going to start now. You got to fight it. Wait a minute. Oh, snap. Dallas just covered the spread. We got the money, baby.
Jamie.
Bang.
Jamie, could you just... Thank you.
You're right. You're right.
Hold off!
Okay. Where was it?
Oh, I was dying.
Dying. Let's go.
Sorry.
From selecting the perfect produce
and triple checking its quality to preparing it for you. We have perfected the art of fresh.
One bag.
The winter play was really coming together. Until disaster struck. Tensions were high. Luckily, replacement costumes were shipped with FedEx, which means Mr. Harvey could picture the perfect night. We're ready for the holidays, so you're ready for what's next.
Time now to go around the league, delivered by FedEx, where now meets next. And how about a deal for a football season from Lido Pizza? Get an 18-inch, two-topping Lido Pizza, 8 pieces of cheesy garlic bread, and a half pound of boneless wings for only $36.99 plus tax. Joining me now is ESPN's insider, John Keim. Glad to have you here with us. John, it's great. I feel like we have a very close-knit group throughout, starting in the summer. Yeah. We're with each other about 6-7 days a week throughout the football season. It is a very long season, but it goes by so fast, and here we are at the finale.
It does, and you're right. It's funny because we're with each other more than you're with your family. I know a lot of workplaces like that, but between the travel and the long days and all that, you get to know these people pretty well. So you kind of go from, I always say, like before the season, you go from like 0 to 100, and then you throttle way down right after the season. It's a really kind of a weird existence, I think, sometimes.
It'll be odd to have weekends off. I'm not going to know what to do with myself to actually sit back and be able to maybe have a glass of wine and watch the games. But look, we do this because we love it, and I absolutely love this job working for the team and working with everybody that covers the team as well. We do get pretty close to each other, but you also get caught up in all the different storylines. So there's never a short of them here, but you've covered this team for quite a few years now, and you've seen the instability at the position of quarterback, and yet here that still is a storyline for Washington. Head coach Ron Rivera made it very clear this year that the big difference in winning and losing is a QB1. They have yet to find that in 3 years with him. They thought Carson Wentz could potentially be that guy. They thought Ryan Fitzpatrick could be a stopgap until they found that guy. What happened with Carson and the fallout from Coach Ron Rivera starting him last week and staying with him?
Okay, so what happened with him? I think they overestimated his ability to regain his mobility, and we saw last year in Indianapolis he still held on the ball a little bit, not a little bit, but a lot. He saw the powerful arm. He had some production, 27 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. But they thought he was maybe dealing with some ankle or foot issues that hindered, that mobility. So I think they were caught off guard a little bit by how immobile he was. Then you throw in the fact that he's learning a new offense, and he tends to hold the ball already. So now you put him in a new offense where you haven't learned, you're holding a little bit longer behind a line that was behind a protection unit that wasn't providing the proper protection for a guy in his situation. So you add it all up, and it was not a good situation. And then, you didn't have Brian Robinson early on, et cetera, et cetera. But I think it goes back to a lot of that, I think, misjudging where he was at and feeling like they could coax something more out of him than others were unable to.
To that point, Coach Rivera was saying that because he had all that time where he was dealing with the broken finger in recovery and Taylor Heineke was stepping in, that he thought he also got healthier through that process as well, that he said that you didn't fully see him in training camp healthy the way that he did, but nobody really anticipated the game going the way that it did, John.
No, they did not. And also, when you go back to San Francisco, he had 2 drives. First drive, the 49ers came out and we were blitzing him, but what they liked and what we all saw is he knew where to go with the ball. It was blitz, step, go, right? So there were a couple examples of that. So I think they felt like the combination of that, the combination of him feeling healthier, maybe, again, dealing with some leg injuries a little bit better, that he would be in a better spot, and he wasn't. And, you hear it's like maybe he was just playing a little bit tight last week because it was his first game back out there. But, again, it didn't work. And sometimes that offense just was a bit of a mishmash, and you talk to people, whether it's inside or outside, and the lack of identity that developed. And so I think the problems go deeper than Carson. Those are the things they're also going to have to look at, not just the quarterback, but why was the offense lacking the identity, et cetera. So I think questions go deeper than him, but it is starting with you've got to get that position solved.
And so now they look at that as a big question mark once again going into the postseason, which is why Sam Howell is going to be getting the start today. Look, he was one play away from getting into the game for quite a while Taylor Heineke was there under center, as he was the backing him up. So he's been out there practicing with the team, but he's never really had that first team reps practice. What did you see this week, and what have you heard from talking with coaches on what to expect?
Well, what we saw is we don't see, as you know, we don't see a lot of practice. We watch them, the reporters watch them stretch, and you watch some individual drills. But what you see is a guy what you see and hear is somebody who puts a lot of good touch on the ball. Mm-hmm. That's what he was known for at Carolina, and it's when I talked to people this week, and what they noticed is that they felt like that was the case in practice last week. So you're also going to see a guy who is still, again, new to the offense, and you're not operating with all your talent around you. Brian Robinson's not going to play. Antonio Gibson's not going to play. Some changes on the line because of injuries, et cetera. That puts him in a tough spot. But I think what you also hear is smart, tough. I think there's some people there, even like some of the players, who are kind of excited about what they might see, not just from today, but going forward from him. The problem, or the question, Julie, is what does one game, how much is that going to shape what this team does or thinks going into the offseason? I think it's awfully tough. So that's why I think what the focus for them will be on process for him more than results. Decision-making, Are you getting the ball out quickly? Are you making the right reads, et cetera?
That's the big thing that coaches always said, too. If you are going to have a rookie quarterback, you have to have the patience that comes with that, because most times it's going to take a little bit for them to adjust. And so it wouldn't necessarily be fair to adjust and evaluate Sam Howell and what kind of quarterback he will be in the NFL from just what we're going to see today. But why not go ahead and get that first start out of the way? Why not be able to do that, and then we can evaluate during the offseason for that process. Look, this is year 3 for head coach Ron Rivera. This is the year that he anticipated taking a big step. This is the year coming in where we said this team has his identity. It is his players. He came to Washington because he had full, total control of the decision-making process, where usually coaches are told, this is the player you have, now you go make it work. He's been able to choose the players. How do you evaluate how he's done as we now sit here 3 years in a row with just 7 wins?
I think that's how you evaluate. That's how coaches always say, your record is what it is. And, you can look back and say, well, there was this injury or that injury. Everybody's got them. Last year I felt COVID just ravaged them at the end of the year. We saw that. But everybody's got injuries, and you have to find a way to overcome them. So 7 wins is what you are each of the years. I think that's – I don't know how any other way to judge a coach. And we've seen coaches who, in past years, maybe you think they're doing a good job, but the wins aren't enough. So something happened. So I think that's where it's at. I do think I'll be curious to see if, because the ownership possibility of a change there in the sale, what happens, who has the authority to make a move, if Rivera indeed is going to stick around for another year because of that, what is his authority to go out and make some moves before there's an actual sale? So I think those are all questions that are going to be interesting going in here. But, again, the way you judge it is 7 wins each year. I don't know how other way to judge.
Well, so as they say, there are no moral victories in the game.
Right.
You would like to be able to talk about some of the positives that they built, and we've talked all week with Coach Rivera as well about some of the players, some of the things that they do want to build off of. But at the end of the day, you are what your record says you are.
Yep.
And should this team not get the victory today, then that's 3 straight years that they have 7 wins and not ending with a winning record. John? It's going to be a long off season. But it's going to be a wild one as well. We were talking about, look, this is the time where you say you wind down and you try to take a vacation. We may not know the timing of anything or what's going to happen this off season. So Washington fans, just get ready and we'll see where we go.
Thanks, Julie.
All right. Thank you, John. When we come back, I'm going to talk with none other than the guy who hosts and leads our postgame show and, of course, played for the Burgundy and Gold. Fred Smoot joins us, and we'll have a conversation with Jahan Dotson as well. Stay with us. You're watching Command Center Game Day Live on the Washington Commanders YouTube and social media platforms, and you're listening to Washington Commanders football.
It's time for Working Out the Kinks, presented by Theragun by TheraBody. Keep moving with TheraBody. All right, I have Logan Paulson and Santana Moss here. And look, we have a different quarterback under center, which means adjustments need to be made. So it is time for Working Out the Kinks, presented by Theragun. What kinks and wrinkles could we anticipate seeing here with Sam under center, Logan?
I mean, there's a lot, but I think kind of the main one that I'm going to focus on today is the protections, right?
Yeah.
Tana, you don't know a lot about protections. You don't have to deal with that, but the quarterback has to call the protections, direct the protections, where's the slide going, who's coming, who's not, who are the bigs, who are the downs, all that kind of stuff. And that's all a guy who hasn't got a ton of reps so far, right? So one way to work that out is say, hey, Wes Schweitzer, you've been in this offense for a while. Maybe you can kind of support the young guy, put him in a better position to be successful, so there's not quite so much on his plate, and let him be a little bit more comfortable back
Well, you know, Logan, being a receiver, the only one kink that I think that most of the receivers have to overcome is just getting familiar with the ball.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's a big difference when you had, you know, you caught passes from 2 other quarterbacks throughout the whole entire year, and then now we got our third guy, a rookie, that hasn't played got a lot of reps with us in practice, but now he's going to come and be the starter. So I'm pretty sure those guys like Jahan, Terry, you know, Samuels, those guys are going to have to get familiar with how fast that ball coming. Does he anticipate a little thing, you know, do things like, you know, of that sort of little often or not. But to me, that's the big kink that you have to work out.
And you know that Micah Parsons is coming for you. The Cowboys' defensive line is coming for you. They are 3rd in the league with sacks with 51. But good thing is Sam has some wheels, so he'll probably be using those on Sunday.
At TheraBody, we believe that everybody deserves a chance to keep going, keep dancing, keep celebrating, and reuniting.
It's never too late to rise. You got that fire in you. It's never too late to rise.
Because everybody is a TheraBody.
Didn't have to love me like you did, but you did, but you did. And I thank you. Didn't have to love me like you did, but you did, but you did. And I thank you.
For 50 years, you loved playing the Maryland Lottery. All the fun we have and good we do is thanks to you. Thanks for playing.
We thank you.
Adventure doesn't wait. It happens here and now, in the moment. It doesn't back down, sit quietly, or follow the herd. It pushes the limits and empowers freedom of movement. Adventure grabs you and says, let's go places. Now get as low as 3.99% APR on Camrys and Corollas. Toyota, let's go places.
And joining me now is none other than Fred Smoot. Fred does our post-game show each and every game. So today will be the final game as well for you, Fred.
Yeah. End of the year, Julie.
I didn't think we were going to end like this. I thought this game was going to come in here meaning a lot, especially going against the Cowboys. But it's one of those games where you got to finish it up strong. There's a lot of guys like Sam Howell that can't wait to get on this field and prove what they can do in the NFL. So that excites me that some young guys get a chance to prove that they can and they will and they do belong in this league.
So tell us a little bit about the mindset coming into this game, because it's been kind of a very sad week walking around the park. People are understanding that, look, this is it for this season. Maybe some of the teammates that they're there with in the locker room may not be there come Monday. Black Monday is one of the worst days around the league as players clean out their lockers. So how does a player approach this game understanding it doesn't count for anything?
Well, here got the truth about the matter. We understand this. No locker room will ever be the same. Every year it's a different locker room. I don't care if it's 5 guys, 10 guys, 15 guys. It's going to be some older guys leave. It's going to be some youthful guys come. So at the end of the day, you want to embrace this time you got left with your 53 brothers from another mother. So we understand it's a lot to play for. I know everybody saying that it's not a lot to play for. First of all, it's Cowboy week. And we don't want to let them do nothing. We want to spoil everything they got going on. We don't care about them going to the playoff. If they go into the playoff, we want them to limp into the playoff. So at the end of the day, it's a lot to play for. It's Washington Pride to play for. It's Dallas week. That's all we need.
It is Dallas week. You need nothing more than that to get up for it. Unfortunately, we're surrounded by too many Dallas fans here today.
Julie, can I ask this? Is this middle child of the year game right here? Because all the middle children of D.C. came out. I call them Dallas Cowboy fans because they want to go against the family.
I'm the middle child.
Oh, my God.
I have an older sister and a younger sister. They watch the game. Shout out to Amy and Annie, mom and dad watching. They are from Jacksonville. They get to play on. I'm very jealous as our season's about to come to an end here. Look, you talk about where we sit, and last week Washington, or this past month, Washington had the opportunity to control their destiny. What happened?
They let
Can you pinpoint the issue?
It's not one thing. I think we've been healthy. We had the luck of the draw. We've been healthy all year. And at the wrong time of the year, I think we started to fall apart. Cam Curl, like his presence, it goes undeniable. I don't think, you look at the big plays that the defensive backfield gave up. Usually it's when Cameron Curl is not in the game. I thought that was a big glitch. I thought the offensive line started to wear down as the year went on. We started to turn the ball over more. In December, let's just be honest, besides Christmas, it wasn't a good time to be a Washington fan because we didn't close out. We did not finish. So the definition of this year, and when we come back and think about this year, it's going to be the year that we did not finish what we started. And I think that's the most disappointing part about what's going on right now, and the reason that we are here and not playing to go to the playoffs and just playing the spoiler right now.
Coach Rivera said they asked the fan base to come out numerous times and on occasions to support this team, and they certainly did. We saw FedEx Field looking the best, feeling the best, sounding the best we had in years because there was an excitement for where this team was going. And again, unfortunately, as he says, look, we let the fan base down. That there's really no other way to do it. They're disappointed in themselves, and they're going to have to do a lot of hard evaluations, knowing that there's a lot of uncertainty in the postseason here. We're going to get to see Sam Howell today. I'm kind of really looking forward to this because Sam is somebody that they say is incredibly intelligent at this point in the season. They say he knows the playbook. He was out there backing up Taylor Heineke. They will maybe simplify it possibly just a little bit. You see that he has the arm. He's pretty darn accurate. He can run and use his legs. Of course, his last year at Carolina, he had to use his legs a lot because they lost a lot of the weapons that were surrounding him his first few years when he was there. The offensive line had a lot of changes, so they kind of used him a little bit like a running back. His offensive coordinator says that might not be the recipe for success in the NFL. But you're a guy that watches a lot of college tape. What was your evaluation of Howell coming out?
Well, you said you was excited. I'm very excited. I'm a Game of Thrones guy. I call him the young wolf. I get a young wolf a chance. Get Sam Howell a chance. And I think he's a guy. Listen, we're talking a year ago. This guy was slated to be a first-round pick. The year did not go the way he wanted. He slipped in the draft. And Cowboy fans ain't going to like this. But this kid got a lot of Tony Romo in him. And when I say Tony Romo, he can throw from places that the other quarterback can't throw from. He had arm angles the other guys don't have. He already has a relationship with Diamond Brown, so I'm not going to be shocked if he give him 6-7 chances to catch the ball today. He can move the pocket because the offensive line has not been good. He's a guy that's going to come out here and play without fear. And I think that should put a little fear into the Cowboys because you got a quarterback that wants to come out here, wants to have a little fun. Don't be shocked if Sam Howell, the young wolf, comes out here today and wins this game, I will not be shocked. It'll send us into the offseason on fire. It'll start a little quarterback controversy, but when you got controversy, that means you got something, and that's what we need.
Controversy. I feel like there's just a big question mark at quarterback, which is
it's
wide open.
If he comes out here today and sets it on fire, let's say he throws for 250, 300, 2 touchdowns, it makes you go into the offseason saying, should we draft a quarterback or do we have a quarterback here? And that's going to be the big question.
A lot of the future does depend on just how do they evaluate Sam Howell and going forward. And one of the knocks against him is, look, that he just can't do anything about is that, standing up, I might eyeball him.
Yeah, I understand. Listen, and that's why I said, Tony Romo, you don't have to be the tallest. The measurables don't matter. When you get into an NFL game, can you play football? We here celebrating Sonny Jurgensen. Sonny Jurgensen can play the game of football. Sam Howell can play the game of football. I don't care how tall he is. We've seen this with Drew Brees. We've seen this with Russell. We've seen this with numerous quarterbacks. If you can play the game, it doesn't matter how tall you are.
There's a lot of talk about the offensive game planning of what Scott Turner has called this season and the situations and the way that they want to run this offense. How do you see it potentially adjusting today with Sam under center, or will it?
I don't think it will. I think this will be a game that he can say, let me show them who I am. Like, it's a lot of people that has a lot to prove in this game, and I think he's one of them with Scott Turner to kind of quiet people down and say, you know what, I got a quarterback here that can do different things than the other two I have. Let me open my playbook up, and we have nothing to lose. No reason to save any of the plays. So I think he actually showed some stuff he didn't show during the year.
What are you most looking forward to this offseason from this team?
Well, you know what? It's one of those off season where, like you said, it's a lot of uncertainty. We don't know. I love the draft, so I love to see new talent added to this team. And, let's just be honest about it. We got some spots like the offensive line, like the defensive backfield that needs to be addressed. And that's what you do in the off season. You rebuild a house and get it ready for next season. And I'm going to be excited about that.
I think a lot of people have uncertainty wondering, who has the authority to make all those decisions? Look, head coach Ron Rivera is brought in because he can make all those decisions.
Yeah.
But when it comes to spending a certain amount of money as well, there's a little bit of uncertainty with the ownership here. Yep. So it's going to be a very interesting offseason. And it's going to be an absolute fun game. Make sure you stick around for post-game live with Fred Smoot, with Scott Jackson.
Yes.
You can listen on Big 100. You can also watch that on our YouTube channel as well. Now, when we come back, Chase Young sits down with London Fletcher and Santana Moss in the Players Club. You're watching Command Center Game Day live on the Washington Commanders YouTube and social media platforms, and this is the Washington Commanders Football Radio Network.
It's fourth down, seconds on the clock. He hands it off, finds a hole in the middle. Clear, nothing but Brian moves! A touchdown for the win. I can't believe it.
Pizza, better with Pepsi.
Determination makes dreams happen.
We make paths that weren't there before.
It doesn't matter how far we have to go.
Or the obstacles we have to overcome.
And even when it seems like we can't go on, you're it.
We learn and we come back stronger than before.
The all-new CR-V Hybrid and CR-V, part of the Honda line of rugged vehicles.
For 50 years, you loved playing the Maryland Lottery. All the fun we have and good we do is thanks to you. Thanks for playing.
Washington Commanders football is back, and so is our BOGO. On game day, buy one large pizza and get a second large pizza for free. Order online or download the app today. Paisanos, official pizza partner of the Washington Commanders.
Worked my whole life to get to where I am right now, and when Coach told me the news this morning, I was super excited, and I'm just gonna go out there and try to give it my all. I'm not gonna try to worry about all the other things. I'm just gonna go out there and try to give my teammates everything I got, and go try to win a game.
I'm excited to be there and support Sam. I've seen some really good things out of him this year. Not only just in preseason, I know preseason is preseason, but the way he's handled the scout teams and the reps that he's gotten when Carson was down and he was possibly the backup for Taylor. You know, he makes some throws that the ball comes off his arm, and you're just like, wow, that's a nice ball he just threw. And he has really good touch, and I think he has a quiet confidence about him, so I'm really excited to see how he is in a game-like atmosphere.
There's several young guys that we want to get some more opportunities to and put them out on the field. Chris Paul is a young man that we want to take a really good look at. We want to continue to look at those young tight ends. You know, we know who the receiving group is. You know, defensively, we got some young defensive linemen we want to take a look at, and we'll get a chance to see them continue. And some of the young DBs.
And we are brought to you by Window Nation. Buy 2 windows, get 2 free, and pay nothing until 2025. Visit windownation.com. So Chase Young is set to play in just his 3rd game this season. It was a long wait from him coming back from ACL surgery, but when he is out there, he definitely makes a difference, and he has missed being out there with his line mates all season long, getting in on the competition with the sacks, because this defensive line has definitely been after it this season. Well, this week he joined London Fletcher and Santana Moss on The Players Club, which you can watch on NBC4 and, of course, our website and YouTube channel. Here's part of that conversation.
But that's just a testament to, you know, what it takes to play here, and then also just from being from you guys from. It's no different from Alabama. It's no different from when Miami was in their heydays, the Florida States. You know, those type of guys know what y'all have won.
Yeah, we know what it takes.
So you know what it takes. Yeah, bingo.
Definitely know that.
Yeah.
I would say I realized certain things now that O State did that that I just didn't know that helped me out a lot. Like game day, because, you know, college we play at 12.
Yeah.
So we getting up. I mean, we downstairs at 7. But it's like we go downstairs, you know, they got a whole line and we running through the line. Woo, like we getting hype going through the line.
7 in the morning.
7 in the morning, but I didn't know. We hydrating, we getting going.
Yeah.
They getting us. We walking around the whole. They always got a trail for us everywhere we go. We go to Nebraska. We go to wherever, Wisconsin. We get up in the morning. It's the same routine. We get up. Everybody get out there. We go through the line. Get our cup of water. We walk around like not a quarter mile, but you know, we get some steps in.
Yeah, just
we get in motion. And,
yeah.
You know, now I'm thinking about that when I'm hurt. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm like, how can I get Tez going like super? Like, how can I really get him? What can I give to him?
Yeah.
You know, and you know, that's when I told him, you know, not saying that he don't do it, but just trying to give him something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, bro, just like tomorrow, just get going a little earlier.
Yeah.
You know, just to hopefully he do it. You know, hopefully I might be able to see something. Then, you know, that was Chicago Bears game. Come to find out, then he get 2 sacks and you feel me?
What, first play of the game? Or
something like that.
Yeah, I think it was the first play of the game.
Yeah,
He got a sack.
Not saying it was because of that, but
didn't hurt. I'll tell you that. Didn't hurt.
Yeah.
I hope it helped.
It's definitely infectious, though. You know what I mean? When you think about just how you have to go about yourself, your routine, whatever it may be. I want to ask you, you know, a question leading up to this last game. Last game of the season, you know, it would have been a different experience if we had a chance to see something after this. But it is the last game, and the first thing they ask us, what do these guys have to play for? A guy like you come in mind, you know, you have a lot to play for. You got an opportunity to play, that's one. But then it's another day you could put something on tape. But besides all that, what is something that stands out for you? I'm going to ask you this question. What is it something that stands out to you that you can go out there and say, man, I'm trying to do for this team, you know, so I can go off into my offseason with the right mindset of what I left behind?
Man, play hard every play. Man, you ain't going to see nothing different. Yeah. I missed 2 sacks against the Browns. Mm-hmm. I'm getting one this game. Like, you know, I'm in that mode. And you got to understand, I ain't played the whole season. I'm fired up.
Yes,
I don't even. I told Del Rio today. I said, bro, I don't need no month to chill.
Yeah,
I'm about to go to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said, bro, Fletch, watch what I do. And I'm saying this on camera. I don't care.
Nah,
I'm on one. I ain't gonna lie to you, Fletch.
I tell you no lie.
Bro.
I can feel him on that because when I got hurt my rookie season, I came back the last 4 games of my rookie year, and I felt like I was just telling Fletch, I felt like a fish out of the water. I wasn't myself, so it was, we in different boats. But I remember my scout being my agent, Rosenhaus. He coming to UM because he got other guys now. And he saw me in the line working out with the guys who were in the draft. He like, bro, what you doing here? Like, okay, I'm working.
Yeah, your mentality.
I'm like, man, I just missed a year. They finna film me coming back this next year. And I remember, like, fast forward, I was all pro punt returner. I'm ranting back the most punt returns, and they gave me an alternate that year because Chad Morton actually got the Pro Bowl because he ran back kicks on my team. So
you got to keep bringing that up. Man.
I got to, you know what I'm saying? We beat London them with two
kickoff returns, man.
That game.
I'm Bram Whiteside in the booth. Kickoff is nearing here at FedEx Field for the regular season finale, Washington and Dallas. You're listening to Washington Commanders football.
Big